Hey guys, welcome back to Classic G-Body Garage. Today I'm going to be working on the Ranger again.
I suppose you have some games.
Just kidding, guys. I didn't want to disappoint you once again. Working on the 78 Cutlass Caballero. Yes, finally working on a G-Body. The weather's beautiful out. It's 80 degrees. I hope that lasts. And what I'm going to do today, guys, the very last video on this car, I believe, was back in October or November of 2014. So this car has been sitting here for quite some time. I haven't even started it since even before that. I think it's been sitting here since September. Weeds are starting to grow up on the tires. But last video I had of this car was when I pulled the door panels off. And that was because I had quite a bit of issues with things going on behind the door panels. For starters, driver's side door, the latch. Let me close the door and I'll show you exactly what's going on. You can see this panel is extremely loose, does not open. So there's some stuff going on in there, and also the latch itself, there's a broken spring, so you have to manually open the door from the inside and not from the outside there. I have a latch sitting here from a junkyard car, and I'm going to show you guys how to replace a latch in one of these things. And also, well, the passenger side had an aftermarket Taiwan door handle, so I went ahead and put a G-Body door handle on there. Let me open up the door. There's a Taiwan door handle. Oh! Alright, well, I guess I'm trapped. I'll have to get this door open. Okay, well, I finally got the door back open, so it is obvious what the issue is with this latch. Once you close the door, you can't get it back open, because once those little springs and all that stuff rusts up in there, you're pretty much screwed. Sometimes you could spray oil in there and get things working again, but in this case, there are two springs in that latch that are broken. So I have here a latch out of a junkyard car. Springs are all in good shape. I will just oil it up. So a couple of tools that you will need. Now, as far as removing the door panel, I will link the video right now in the right hand corner of this video, and that video talks about how to remove a door panel in a G-Body. So once you have the door panel removed and you can get access to everything going on here behind the door, the next tools you need, get yourself a little screwdriver, and this is essential to remove these little retainer clips. There's a retainer clip right there. Basically, what you do is you put the screwdriver underneath the retainer clip, lift it up, because it has a little tab that hooks into a hole. You can see right there, and that's what clips it into place. So you need to stick a screwdriver in there, lift it up, release it out of the hole, and then pull it out of, or slide it away from the rod. So that's how you remove the retainer clips, and they're all real easy to get to, as you can see. Up inside the door there. So it is a little bit of a trick to remove all the retainer clips for all these rods. I already started to remove it here and here as well, just to get everything out of the way so I can get the latch removed. Now, something that is relatively difficult to do is removing these screws right here. These three screws that hold the latch into place, those are Loctited from the factory. So something real nice to have is one of these impact screwdrivers. And what this does is you get yourself a big fat hammer like that, and you stick the screwdriver in a hole like that, and you smack the end of that, and that knocks everything loose, because these screws tend to strip out if you're just using a regular screwdriver. So these impact screwdrivers are very nice. You just don't want to hit too hard, because if you smack it too hard, you're going to end up bending the door itself. So just be careful when removing that. So what I'm going to do next is go ahead and remove the latch. Here I showed you guys the Taiwan door handle that someone had replaced, because something very common is these handles break. So you have to remove them. So the original handles are riveted into place. You can see where this one was. or the original door handle was at some point in time. So I'm going to remove this handle, remove the latch, and then I'll show you guys how to go ahead and get everything reassembled. God. Latch is out. All right, the latch is out. Fish it out of here. And I'll show you guys what's going on here. Here's the new latch. Now see this spring right here? This is the spring that keeps tension on the door handle. One of the springs that keeps tension on the door handle. This one, it's gone. That spring is broken. So it just kind of flops around. And then there's another spring that I can see that's completely missing on this one. You can see this spring right there. I'm not exactly sure what it does, but it's completely gone on this one. So obviously it's there to keep some tension on some parts in here, and probably the reason why when you close the door you can't get it back open. So there are two springs that are completely gone, broken or gone on the original latch, which is giving me all those problems. So I'm going to go ahead and install this one into place, and let's see if that fixes my problem. One other tip, don't forget to spray the latch down with some oil, a quality oil, not really a WD-40, something that more than it's just kerosene really, just because it's a lot easier to get to when the latch is out of the car and get into every freaking nook and cranny and rotating pivot point. It's a lot easier to get to when the latch is out of the car sitting here rather than in the car. Alright, I got the latch in place, tightening up the screws. Now I'm going to pull these screws back out one at a time to Loctite them, but I just wanted to make sure that the latch worked. So I have it hooked up, and I'm going to close the door and see what happens. Alright, opens and closes nicely. So what I'll do is Loctite up those screws and then get this door handle on next. So the door handle's hanging here, and there is a retaining clip to keep this rod into place. If you don't put the retaining clip on, there's a good chance that rod's going to slip out of place. So this is what the retaining clip looks like for the rod. Just go ahead and slip it on like that. Bring the door handle up, and that clip snaps into place just like that. So that prevents the rod coming off of the handle, and the handle just slips into place, hooks into the door, and now I'm ready for the rivets. Now you can use bolts to hold these on, but the factory does use rivets like that there, just because bolts are liable to work themselves loose. So if you are going to use bolts, I highly recommend running the bolts in from the back side, so the threads don't hit the window track when you're rolling the window up and down, and use the plastic nylon locking nuts. You know, the nuts with the nylon locking goop in there, just so when you snug these things down and tighten them down, those nuts don't work themselves loose. So that is if you don't have a rivet gun. But I do have a rivet gun, and I'll show you what one looks like. This is what a rivet gun looks like. You put the rivet in the end of that there, and then you put the rivet in the door handle just like so, and then you drive it into place. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So this is what a rivet looks like when it's not compressed into the door. I have one fed into the gun itself. So always make sure you use the rivets that are the correct size. Just put it in the hole like that and just start working it into place. There you go, there's one. There we go, nice and tight, handles in place, and we're good to go. Alright guys, went ahead and Loctited the screws on the latch there. Door handle is in. Everything is working as it should. Now I have a couple of pointers here before we put the door panel back on. You definitely want to take advantage of this time because it's not really an easy task to take the door panels on and off. Alright, so you have everything exposed here, okay? Go ahead, make sure you take this time to oil and grease the window track. You got a track here, you have a track that runs vertical, you also have a pivot point right there, and then the actual spring down in this hole. The spring that winds up when the window goes up and down makes it easier on the crank there, and make sure that spring is all nice and oiled up. And then you also have the teeth, the gears. Go ahead and put a little bit of grease on there as well. Another thing to keep in mind, you have these adjustments here and here for the window. See that, how that's loose? So what I'm going to do is adjust these felt tabs, push them up against the window, make things a little bit snugger so the window doesn't flop around. Something else, I noticed that the window motor was replaced at one time, and I know that because these holes are normally not exposed, and you can see that they were drilled out. These 3 bolts were nearly coming out. They were completely loose. The window motor was flopping around in there, so I tightened those up, tightened up any bolt. Here you go, here are all these factory bolts. Tighten those up. Actually, that is bolted on. That is the solenoid for the lock. Someone bolted that into place, so I'm going to make sure that those are nice and tight. So just take the time to oil up the track, tighten up any bolts, make any adjustments that you need to make, and you will make your life a whole lot easier. All right, guys, so that is all. Door closes nicely. And that is how you replace the latch on any G-Body 78 to 88 2-door, 4-door wagon, El Camino, whatever it might be. It's all the same. All right, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment, let me know what you think. And until the next classic G-Body garage video, keep those G-Bodies rolling.